How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Drummer 101 Artist Interviews. My name is Ori Severett. This week we are sitting down with Jarrod Affonso. I'm super excited about this because when we first started doing this idea sort of thing, it was like we had to put this list together of drummers. Like, all right, well, we have to plan out a month in advance or whatever. And Jarrod actually messaged us on Facebook, and that was kind of cool because you said that you had watched some of the interviews and you were interested in getting in on that.
Yeah.
And that made me excited. I was like, all right, someone else is excited about this. Me and Kevin were amped about it, and we're like, all right, we have to share this with the world. Mm-hmm. And you're the first person, hopefully, a year from now when this thing is hopefully big, we'll be able to talk about Jarrod Affonso, the first person who showed interest in Drummer 101 Artist Interviews.
Well, yeah, it's really cool to, see your friends doing something or people that you've played shows with in other bands. And I mean, how often do you get to sit down and talk about drums,
Right.
And talk about all your experiences, not at a show, where you get to really sit down. And I was stoked. I like it.
Cool.
I like what's going down here.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump right into it. What was your introduction into the drums or music in general? What was the first time you noticed it?
10, 12 years old, junior high, or, was getting into there, started picking up into the punk bands. Dad bought a drum set for my younger brother for Christmas, and we both kind of took to it, not so much right away, but my dad, he was a drummer, and we would hear Boston and Journey blasting in the room, and he was, getting down and doing the thing, so...
My dad always talks about, sorry to cut you off,
Yeah.
He saw Pink Floyd at Day in the Green.
Okay.
And it's funny because I'm not a huge Pink Floyd fan, but still, being a drummer, being a musician for as long as I have, it's kind of the idea of seeing Pink Floyd in person just seems kind of bizarre.
You get sent back you're the elders. They tell you all the all the bands, Zeppelin, Floyd, and you just automatically have to go and find those bands. And so that's kind of how it happened. We got to it, and he never signed us up for lessons, but more along just kind of put on his favorite music, and that's how I kind of picked it up. It started out with the oldies, and then when I was getting into Green Day and stuff, I was like, well, if I can play along to this kind of stuff, let me play along to music that I like to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of really where it started, and I did high school bands and talent shows and all that stuff, which was kind of cool because they paid out.
Really?
I made more money in talent shows than I've had at gigs sometimes.
Well, I must have been going to the wrong school.
Right.
Shows.
Center High School. I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but it kind of took that into the teens, and then ever since, as soon as I graduated high school, it was just job and music back and forth, balancing the two.
Yeah.
And that's where it started.
Very cool. The funny thing is, because I was also into punk when I first started. I mean, I was in the jazz band and the high school bands as well, but the first band I was in was actually, if you guys have watched the previous episodes, Austin Butler, who is in a band, Cemetery Sun, and the bass player of Cemetery Sun is Danny Clark. Mm-hmm. Danny Clark moved to Roseville when he was in 5th grade, and that was right when I was moving in, and we became really close friends. And the first band we had all these stupid punk band names, whatever. But long story short, the first talent show I did at my middle school, we played a Green Day song.
Okay, yeah.
So I was also obsessed with Green Day, and Trey Cool was he was the first person that I saw, and it wasn't even the fact that he was just that I liked the music. It was also he was really fun to watch.
Do you remember any of your old punk band names?
Oh my, we had the Toxic for a long time.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I remember one was the All American Zeros, and that was before All American Rejects, just so just so there wasn't any confusion. But there was that one.
They owe you money.
My Fat Friend Gunther was another one. That was a good one too. But yeah, and then I really wished you were talking about jazz band. I really wished how I had gone back and taken some lessons like that during high school, like drumline or jazz band, something like that. All I took was guitar class, but I really just kind of dug into playing along to stuff I liked, and then kind of just developed a natural rhythm, and went from there into after high school. I had a buddy, and he played bass, and that was it. I knew a couple guitar players, but it was just pretty much him on bass, and he was really into slap funk, and that's where I kind of left the punk area and got into a lot of funky, progressive kind of stuff, and
that's really cool.
Expanded from there. Yeah. I loved it.
I remember I went to I went to school in Boston for music.
Oh, okay.
And there was this group, and I can't remember the name for the life of me, but we had practice like facilities, soundproof 24-hour practice facilities in the dorms.
Oh, wow.
And they were this like funky progressive band.
Okay.
And they were like they were the coolest thing in the world. And it was weird because actually in jazz band we kind of got into funk, but it wasn't until college that I finally started like hearing like funk and like falling in love with it, you know. It's some cool stuff. But okay, so then let's start. You said you were in a band, Musical Chairs, and I've heard a lot about them. I mean, I've heard some of their songs. I'm also a fan of Autumn Sky, and I see that they do a lot of stuff together.
A couple times, yeah.
And you know, we've me and Autumn Sky I've spoken before. She's really cool, but so that was how I found out about Musical Chairs. But what was your involvement in that? How did that?
I was playing in a band at 24-hour rehearsal space, House of Hits, Marconi and 80, and that was really progressive, fast, Mars Volta, funky type music, and that had kind of dissolved, and that was right along the lines where Self Against City split away, and Jesse Bruni and Blake Abbey, they were making music together, and we kind of just known each other just from walking around in the rehearsal space, and they needed a drummer. And so I went over there, we jammed a couple times, they had songs written, recorded some stuff right away, and that's how I kind of got involved with them. And it was kind of crazy because I had just been playing all this really complex, fast music for a long time, and getting back into playing basic grooves and pocket, and it was a challenge at first, but it actually, I thought, well, here I am playing all this technical music, why do I want to play simple stuff? It actually broadened my knowledge of music, you know, and learned to appreciate simpler stuff sometimes, and it just took me almost back to square one, back to like being a teenager again and trying to learn.
Well, and some of my favorite drummers are just are pocket drummers.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys who don't know, pocket is, it's the feel of like the 1, 2,
just the simple,
3,
straightforward
4,
beats,
just like right on, like you know. And when you go to a club or you go to a bar, you go anywhere, and you can feel like the drummer. You can just like there's a groove there that is kind of just like implied. Yeah, that's the pocket.
Yeah.
But so speaking of which, my favorite drummers are all pocket drummers.
Yeah. Steve Jordan.
Exactly.
Josh Freese. I mean, he's done every type of music known to man, and it's his pocket, Yeah. People say like guitar players, you can hear their tone in their hands. Well, drummers, that's their pocket. That's what if you're skilled, people describe your pocket and your groove. And so that's when it just kind of went back to basics, and we played concerts in a park, did a lot of shows. They built up a really good following in Sacramento, and they've done a lot of self-funded tours, and it was a really cool experience to do. Did it for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And then that brought you to, you said you started writing your own music, and now you have your own band.
Yeah. After we had done a bunch of stuff, I would always play guitar throughout the years, and I really got serious about playing guitar. I never really took lessons, but I just started kind of writing a lot of stuff, and it was kind of cool because I've noticed a lot of singer-songwriters, they always have really great songs, but they have programmed drums on their laptop, or they're in need of a drummer because they just basic beats. They want the basic beats, but they want a little bit more. They want something with flair, something like a computer can't really give. And so I kind of already had that just from drumming for so long. So I had all these great rhythms in my mind, and I was like, okay, well, if I want to make these into songs, I need to learn guitar, or I need to find a guitarist, and I just kind of took it upon myself to do the guitar work.
Awesome.
And that's where we're sitting right now. And luckily, my brother, he kept up with the drums, and so
cool.
Drummer for hire. I just gotta go knock next door and say, hey, little bro, we got a show coming up.
Yeah.
You got songs to learn.
and what are you guys called so that people can find you?
We're called the Alt Recluse, SoundCloud, Facebook / Alt Recluse for both of them. I dig it. I mean, really Red Hot Chili Pepper, Mars Volta influenced, and then we kind of bring it down to like the simpler stuff. I just took the knowledge I had from all the bands that I've played in, and just each song where there's a familiar sound to all of them, but the grooves are all different, straightforward. 3/4 time signature, the swing beats, the different time signatures like the odd ones. And that was all really, really cool stuff, and that's what I've been working on lately.
That's really cool. A bit about we were talking prior. Aside from music and bands, you also kind of build your own drum sets, and you tell me about that. Like, how did that start? What gave you the idea?
Well, the first drum set wasn't the greatest thing in the world. Most people, they don't get the Pro Line kits at first, and so years down the road, my brother and I had just been interested in how can we make this ours? What can we do? And we were looking up that lumber companies sell drum shells.
Yeah.
They'll cut the bearing edges and they'll sell you a shell cheap. So we purchased a 22 by 24 inch bass drum shell for $300 from a local lumber company in Sacramento. Yeah. And they cut the edges, and then we had drilled our holes for our lug casings and took it to an auto body shop. It was painted gunmetal gray, and we were marveled at the size because that was one of the biggest bass drums I've seen. I mean, in person. And
you were saying it was 22, 24?
Yeah, 22 by 20.
My first, because I used to be endorsed with Shine Custom Drums.
Okay.
And my first kit through them was a 22 by 24, and then Kevin even has a 26.
Oh wow!
And it is a cannon.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Note to the kids out there, the parents who are like, drum sets are way too expensive. I guess they should just go make their own.
The ultimate customization. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of work, but it really isn't. The edge is the hardest part, but you drill a couple holes and you really can learn your instrument inside out just from putting it together, which wasn't as hard as it looks once you just invest a few hours into just learning of how to assemble. And
it sounds like fun. I mean, I want to try it.
Yeah, it's a great time. You can't play drums at night a lot of the times, depending on where you live. So if you want to just get into your instrument a little bit more, that was a great thing to do. And that's
awesome, man.
That's where I'm sitting. If it just building, taking apart drums and playing music. It's a great place to be right now.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
Man. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode. Again, we're sitting here with Jarrod Affonso, man. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So check out Alt Recluse. It's your band. And also you can check out d101ai.com, past episodes, the most recent episode, merch, all our contact information if you want to find out how to get on the show like this guy did. And then also, if you're interested in online drum lessons, make sure to check out drummer101.com because it'll be worth your time, I promise. So thanks again, man, and thanks for watching.
Yeah.